Hey guys, and welcome to the live stream. I hope this is actually going live for you guys so that you can see it here. Let me just check. Yeah, it looks like it's going well. So just post in the live chat there if you guys are hearing it and it is going well. So this live stream, obviously, we didn't have the review crew tonight, so I thought I'd kick off live streaming on my own channel here, going through the weekend. Yes, obviously we did have the longer weekend with the likes of the Sunday games. So yeah. And the Monday game, sorry. So yeah, let's just jump into it. Put your questions and other things in the comments, and we'll jump into this video, I guess, for this live stream. So if I go to here, and you can see the screen here that I'm just showing my, I guess, my side at the moment and how I ended up going. I went 2,151 in the end, which I think is roughly around par. I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, let's just jump in and I guess just go through the games itself here. So, and yeah, well, obviously I'll do a more in-depth analysis when I get home on the Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday night, etc. But anyway, let's just jump into the Geelong Hawthorn game, and then we'll do, I guess, my team review, I guess, in a way. But anyway, let's jump into this here. So, Geelong Hawthorn, which just finished about an hour or so ago, was one of the best games of the round. It was high intensity throughout the whole thing. Geelong really came out and tried to, I guess, blow Hawthorn off the park. Hawthorn responded, and those two teams are going to be up there in finals contention, you would expect, come September. It was just an outstanding game and really put some of the other games this weekend to shame, I would say, almost in a way. But Manor, 90-102, that was a really, really good effort from him. 17 touches, 7 tackles, 3 goals. He did everything and was one of the reasons why I think they got over the line in the end over Hawthorn. And he's not going to be relevant, but just shows the impact that the likes of mature ages can have on results, I guess, in a way. So, yeah, he was huge. Tom Atkins has been really, really huge in the last couple of weeks, I would say, in general, just putting up some pretty decent numbers. 16 contest possessions out of 24 is pretty big in the end. So, yeah, for him to put up those numbers is quite big. And give me a second here as I just need to put some things on charge so that we can actually get a decent live stream going. But yeah, Tom Atkins, he's one that always gets sort of noticed by the coaches, I would say, but not really by the wider public, as yeah, he doesn't put up the flashy sort of stats that you see from the likes of a Bailey Smith, but you also don't see Bailey Smith usually put up contested numbers like the likes of Atkins puts up pretty regularly, I would say, in the end. But 16 contest possessions, 7 clearances was absolutely huge from him, and he just continues to chug along, I would say, and 9 tackles there for him. You also had the likes of Bailey Smith as well, a guy that we were obviously all tracking because a lot of us have him, or, a lot of us either have him at, what's he going to be, a top 1-2 forward, or a lot of us have sort of hoping that he had one of these type of games because he's been tracking along really, really nicely and has almost been I would say a difference maker in terms of a lot of the ranks, because he still is only 70% owned or something around that marker, I think. Let's just double check what his ownership is for you guys. And then once I get through this game, we'll go and look at the questions that I see popping up on screen as well. But if we go to Smith here, you'll see 74% owned, and then top 10%, which I don't know if I'll be a part of still after this game, or round, I should say. Bailey Butcher, overrated. 96% and top 10%. So if you don't still have him somehow in the top 10%, you're probably not going to be doing so well. But I mean, if you don't have him this week, you probably got away with one, as he was on 62 at halftime or something close to that, and only got to the 85 or so. So yeah, he ended up on the 80. So he really didn't. He got scaled down, I think 3 or 4 points post game, which was not the greatest outlook from him. But anyway, it is all what it is there. Ollie Dempsey, not relevant. Paddy Dangerfield is doing actually really well in this forward role. He seems to just keep on getting better with age, and like that of Pendles and side bottom, he was great in the last quarter. Probably should have kicked another goal as well. He probably should have ended up with 4 goals, which would have been absolutely humongous. And he would have ended up on, I think, about 120 SuperCoach or so, but only ends up on the 95 and isn't probably going to be fantasy or SuperCoach irrelevant, I should say, in the long run, which is probably a good thing for us. Jeremy Cameron, 76-74, 2 goals, 3. That was a very, very just average game for him, I'd say. Maxi Holmes probably saved us all that non-owners that he didn't go off, as it looked like he was going to go off in the end, but ended up only on an 80, which is rather helpful that he didn't go crazy. Tyson Stengel, not relevant. Blickarves, not really relevant either. He did pretty well actually to get to a 105 from a 69. Lawson Humphries, no. Stanley, Neil, Stewart, 60-64. I don't know what exactly this puts him priced at. Like, we can actually go and look at Stewart here. And in the top 5%, he is priced as we might have just got the changeover. Let me just check if we just got the changeover. Yeah, we did. So let's actually do a live just cross anyway. So how did I go for the round? I actually, let's see, up 3,500 ranks, which is all right. And up to 20,000 and 271, and a round rank of 28,415. So not the worst. And checking on the likes of Stewart, I don't need that. Checking on the likes of Stewart, down to 441k, and he does have if this will load, a 79 break even. So he could be an interesting one, even though he's just had a stinker. That his break even has flipped around now that the 9 is out of his price cycle, and this is probably going to be the lowest that you can grab him. But I don't know if I'll grab him just because the price is the price and scoring. It doesn't really. I don't think he'll get too far away from us, I would say, is probably the best way to describe it there. Guthrie, Connor O'Sullivan, 47-54. He was in the end a pretty, I would say, just nothing pick after that first 2 or 3 games. So yeah, he's flattened out, and I think he's gone even backwards, I want to say. So let's actually just check that for you guys. O'Sullivan here, he's gone up 10k, but his break even surely 85 break even. I don't see him hitting that or hitting that more times than not. So yeah, I would suggest be trading him out. De Koning's finally fallen down a little bit, even though we went at 100% efficiency, no ruck roll there. So he's done. I feel like O'Connor Bowes never 38-40, just not. He's come back from that plantar fascia, and it just doesn't look like he is going to be doing anything for the foreseeable future, as well as, yeah, he looks pretty much done for cash generation. Then we go over to Hawthorn. Jai Newcomb, another huge game from him. 28 touches, 6 marks, 9 tackles. Absolutely huge game from him. So he ended up on the 134 SuperCoach. Then you had Lloyd Meek, 113. He ended up on after 6 kicks and 13 handballs alongside 47 hitouts. I don't know how many hitouts to advantage that necessarily was. Let's just double check that, as it feels like it should be a fair amount, even in the loss. Let's go to player stats, and then we go to down here, and then we go to hitouts to advantage. He had 8. So actually a very, very low hitout to advantage from Lloyd Meek, which is probably the reason why he actually didn't do so well. Reece Stanley, 1 hitout to advantage, 3.8%. So they basically just couldn't hit out to advantage to eat any of their rovers this week, which probably meant that 113 is, that could have easily been a 140, 150 if his rovers were able to pick the ball up. Amon, a very, very efficient 29 touches, 5 marks, 4 tackles for a 152. If anyone had him, I know someone that I was talking to prior to the live stream definitely had him and ended up having a really, really good week because of that. Warble, 104, 117. He's been really, really good, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets massively hunted in the offseason if Hawthorn aren't able to hold him. So that'll be a big, big watch, I feel like, in the offseason is what happens with Warble. Gunston, not relevant. None of these guys, to be honest, from the likes of Hawthorn are too relevant, to be honest with you. Just thinking about it. Sicily, 81, 74 is probably the last guy that is relevant, and he is sort of fading in relevancy just because he is going forward so much. And so I don't think he's going to be relevant in the long run for SuperCoach this year. Then we move down. Mackenzie was a guy that I thought could potentially be relevant, but I think he's mid-only as well, which doesn't help out. So he could be relevant now with Nash and Day out, but I don't think so. I think it might be Henry Huswaite that comes in. Josh Ward, he did play, but he didn't play well. So I think we do get Huswaite potentially next week. I need to talk to Hawthorn fans to see if he's going to be a guy to potentially grab up in a couple of weeks' time, because we do expect Nash to get 3 or 4 weeks for that hit on who was it that you got? Myers, that got him concussed. So yeah, I do think that there could be an interesting part with this Hawthorn midfield. I would say that there's potential cash generation there, given that they've lost Day, and now you would expect Nash to be gone. And Nash is their bigger body, and Huswaite is a big body in the VFL that could come in and play that exact same role. And even if he's just going 60s, that's still massive cash generation for, I think, a 119k rookie, or he's definitely basement price because he hasn't played, I would think. I can actually just double check that for you guys. So he's 121.2, so just over basement price, but that is something that I'll be looking at when team sheets drop next week. And then Dylan Moore is a guy that I think we can wait on, even if I don't even know if he's going to be top 8 forward, like from the rest of the year, because obviously you're not going to be able to get the 36, and you don't want the 36, but that's not going to matter to you really too much in the long scheme of things if he can get the rollback. But I don't know if DFS will have the rolls here. Let's go to CBAs, and then we go over to Hawthorn, and it doesn't have the rolls yet, but we did see last week he had 51%. I wouldn't be surprised if that drops again. So yeah, we'll see how that ends up going. But Dylan Moore is someone that I know Rookie Coach was looking at. He didn't end up going for, but he was looking at him. So we'll see how he goes in the long run there. And then nothing else really relevant there. So anyway, let's switch back to, I think it's that screen there, and get through some of these comments here. So first one, Andrew, welcome. 22-23 climbing the ranks. Yeah, I think about, if I just go back to and I'll have it up on my screen here, that I scored a 21.51 and it was top 15%. So par was probably 2100 or so. I know I was talking with Jay on direct messages during the last game trying to figure this out as well. You probably would have seen the poll tweets trying to figure this out roughly where it was. And it looked like I was definitely, that's when I started to get a little bit worried, because 2150 came up, but I was like, there could be a little bit of sample bias in the Twitter poll that I had. So yeah, 22-23, obviously that is going to climb the ranks huge. And obviously you can now check it because we are done with the round and it's gone through. So next one, what do you reckon the average score is? Yeah, like I said, I think 2100 or so is probably around average for this week in the top 15%, 10%. I'm 11% with now in terms of season rank at 20,000. So that's about 11%. 18,500 is top 10% also. So, or actually 18,600 is top 10% now, basically. So that's where you'll get that from. And top 10%, probably you're looking around that 2120, 2130, I think, could be around about par for that, because obviously those guys have the general better team, so they generally score another 15, 20 points. If I had Dacos VC, I end up scoring like a 22-20, and it would have been massive. I missed it by a minute. So it just sucks how close that was to being a really good round. But anyway, is what it is. We got Bailey Butcher is so overrated from Jonas. Yeah. He does score a lot in SuperCoach when he's really getting those contest possessions like we went through just then. Didn't get as many this week with only 8 contest possessions, 4 clearances, but still ended up doing all right, I feel like, in the long run. So, and we'll be top 2 or 3 forwards. So will be interesting to see how he fares. Because we've sort of, obviously with the start of the season, he probably came out like all guns blazing, etc. And he's starting to have those sort of tougher matchups with the likes of the Hawthorn matchup, and he went 80 here. So we'll see who's he have next week. I don't know if it's the greatest matchup. I'm not along with the matchups this week. Carlton next week, so that could be an actual really positive matchup. I don't know exactly how that will go for him, but I think it will go somewhere in the 105, 110 region. But yeah, let's just hope that he can put up a decent score. They play on the Sunday afternoon, so it is a 6-day break for them alongside Hawthorn as they play at 3:20 and Hawks at 4:40. Who do you think the best rookie to get in for Fantasy? I haven't actually checked Fantasy. Let me just quickly go and see if they've updated their rounds they have. Let's just quickly go through and check the break even. It's probably a Will White. It's probably one of the Carlton trio. I'd probably say Carroll just job security wise, but that is my thought there, as they are the 3 that have a negative break even. I don't know Tunstall will have good job security, and he's got a 3 break even anyway. So there's that with the fantasy question. What's Dacos? Dacos is 608k 800 with a break even of 54. So now he's probably, if he just goes bang average 115, he's going to be 635, 638k, somewhere in that region post Anzac Day. So, and I don't really rate Essendon's tagging ability. And also the fact of the matter, they have Todd Goldstein as a ruck. I don't know if he'll be necessarily up to the best AFL level possible. And so I think it's possible that he really does struggle a little bit and ends up, I mean, in general, just could be ending up giving a lot of hit-outs to Darcy Cameron. And if Darcy Cameron gets a lot of hit-outs, I expect Nick Dacos to do really well. And that, I think, that's the Friday afternoon game. You have a Friday evening game. Plus, you have Melbourne at Richmond. So that's why I may hold Clayton Oliver again this week. But that's a definite VC opportunity there. And yeah, just hopeful that he goes large again. But he looks back to his best. He burnt James Jordan, who's really struggling in the last couple of weeks. James Jordan, I think it's just that midfield for Swans is so messed up at the moment. They don't have a major ball winner, so it's basically tag Isaac Heaney and game over. So yeah. And then we get to Corey. Yeah. Hey, welcome to the stream and everything. Andrew, break even for Dacos we went through, and it is 54. So he will be a guy that goes up. I'm pretty much, you can say with certainty, unless injury, that he is going to go up. I don't see him going below 54, even if the tag gets him real good, because his lowest, I think, against Essendon is a 71. Yeah, he's got only like 2 or 3 games where he's actually gone below his break even, I feel like. And those would be, I think, injury games. So there's that. Buzz Linger potentially coming in and lob play forward. Yeah, that's interesting with the Western Bulldogs injury to the likes of Sam Darcy. Escaped the ACL, but has a fracture that is 3 to 4 months, I believe. So that'll be interesting to see who they bring in. I can actually just bring up their last lineup here, AFL lineups, and then I'll just quickly, is this going to be what I want? Yep. And then I go to I want their VFL as well here as well, just to grab up did they have a VFL game on the weekend? Footscray against Sandy. And you've got who went well? Buslinger again, as you say, 32 touches, 8 marks, 1 tackle, even a clearance somehow. He was absolutely huge. Heath actually dominated in the VFL alongside Boyd, so that's interesting as well. And then Boxall as well, someone that we are hoping gets a debut in the future, I guess, as I probably should just share this screen as well. This is what I'm looking at here. And then if we go to AFL lineups as well, you'll see that in round 6, where they would have played here, they obviously had Bont come back. We'll switch it to just the Western Bulldogs. So they had a backline of Jones, Karmas, and then Lobb, and then Norton, Darcy, James O'Donnell. So they are relatively tall in general, with the 3 talls in the back line and 3 talls in the forward line alongside Bont. I mean, Kennedy is 188 as well, so he's a taller guy. And even if you look at Cooper Hines, I believe he's a 192 centimeter, 190 flat. So he hasn't grown recently, but yeah, he's probably going to end up 191, 192 anyway. So you can see the big sort of taller midfielders anyway for him. So for the likes of Western Bulldogs. So it will be interesting if they do go with an extra, well, just a straight swap tall and put Roy Love forward, or if they go with a smaller guy. If they do go with a straight swap forward, you would think it would be, I mean, they haven't really got anyone, I would say, in general with to forward swap as well. So that probably leans into the point that you're going to have the likes of, you're going to have Buslinger play over anyone else. So yeah, Buslinger, I think, is probably odds on, more likely than not to get the nod over the likes of any of the other players. I mean, you could have someone like an Oscar Baker return and they just go a little bit smaller in the back line. They could also just play, get an extra midfielder in there and then play the likes of a Bont a little bit more forward just to ease him back into it, even though he looked outstanding in the time that he was out there. But that's definitely an interesting debate there. Weekly winner 2508, and then you look at like the 2151 there from me and you think, what went wrong? If we just go to rankings wise, the number one guy, 10824, that is, that's not updated, I don't think. So let's just see if that will update yet. 12,981 is the top guy, and I'm sitting about 800 points behind. Not the greatest, not the worst, given everything. I don't know what he exactly scored on the weekend, but we'll just see. He scored a 23-3. But if we go back to round 5, you had this guy, Farihi, who ended up with a 2360, I think. Yeah, that was round 5. What did he end up in round 6 is a decent question. He ended up with a 2088. So you can see everyone sort of bobbling around in the top 20 or so in SuperCoach, going up and down, and sort of averaging around that 2150, 2160 per week, having a sort of 2100 week and then a 2300 week. So I'm not really losing too much ground in terms of in the long run, I would say. 10,824. So yeah, I maybe lost 20 points this weekend with the 2151 to the leaders. So not too bad in general there. And then we get, as I just want to look at the sort of side that I guess all won it. Let's go to round 6 here. So 2,508. Wow, that's an absolute humongous score. And he had Reed emergency. I had Langford, Oliver. He had the Rail 130, Kako. He didn't even do it without the likes of. He had Flynn in the. That's how you're gonna do it. You had the Flynn in the likes of the flex position. A lot of these guys, so that's how they ended up absolutely smashing it. And that's why they were up there. But I'm surprised that they would have. That means that they would have somehow got through the best 18 with Flynn being without only having 22 players and then still massively ahead of me, it looks like, or near enough around me. That's kind of disappointing. But yeah, all of these guys, most of these guys have Flynn, it looks like, just because that was the big score as well. So yeah, a couple of guys just absolutely, I mean, the ranking change, they went up massively. But anyway, doesn't really matter too much to me. We're just plotting along, I would say, almost in a way. And then we get to the next one here. So, should I trade Soligo? That's an interesting debate to be had. Let's just check Soligo here. And 484k, he has break even at 152. What's he gone last couple of weeks? 63.71, dropped down to 98. He's not going to be top 10 or anything in SuperCoach, I don't think, for the midfield. So, yeah, you can probably afford to trade him to someone. I wouldn't be trading him to the likes of a Brayshaw or a Hewitt or a McCluggage, even Libba. I'd probably be looking at, let's just look at this, filters, then go midfielders and go get rid of you guys and get rid of the top liners, go just under 600k, and then we go and look at these guys. So you got McRae's gone down massively, 494k now, but I do rate Jai Newcomb as a potential pickup, just because without Will Day, I think he's going to go sort of 110 or so. So that'll be, I think he's going to do better than the Chera in the long run. Max Holmes is more backline play there, but then again, you can probably wait another week or two with him. Connor Rosey, you could potentially just almost do a straight swap with him because he's going to be nearing enough around that sort of 500 to 540k for the next sort of week or two as he starts to regulate that break even. It's a 60 break even, so if he scores a ton, he goes up 15 to 20k. So that is a guy that you could potentially look at as well. Jordan Dawson, if he forgets to kick the ball again properly, he's going to jump down in price again. But he's got that 60 in his system for one more time. So once he gets that 60 out, that break even is going to resurrect. And he does have somewhat favorable matchups, it feels like. And if he goes 110, you'll start to see that climb, I think. But you can probably wait another week with Dawson to see if he doesn't have that 60 in him because he's had a couple of inconsistent scores. But he's still been all right for me, I would say, in the long run. And then Sheasel Rowell is another one that's really done well this year. I feel like 5 games, 603 total score. So he's really been top scoring player for the year as well. So for sub 600k players, because you still got Brayshaw and Hewitt, I think, that are over 120s. But yeah, he's another guy that you could potentially look at, but Sydney's probably going to put some work into him, you would expect. So that'll be intriguing to see that. But I think there's definitely plenty of options there, with even looking at Tom Green or someone like that as well, who I think is a guy that could go really big. But I think at this point in the year, and maybe it's a little bit annoying for you because you've got Soligo stuck there, and most of us have guys like Clayton Oliver, etc. But you really need to be sort of looking at that forward line and looking at the averages there for guys and seeing if you can grab the forward. For me, that's something I will probably be targeting. Riley Sanders annoyingly went absolutely huge, but at least I had him for fantasy. But yeah, guys like, let's just look at this. If we just go to 3-round average, this should help us out a little bit. Kasai Pickett I looked at, but his underlying numbers actually aren't the greatest. And then you have guys like, Jesse Hogan's out, so you wouldn't want him, even though he's going to come back in. Shea Bolton, his numbers don't really stand up as well as they were when he was playing in the midfield for Richmond in a good side, so I wouldn't be going there. But guys like Petrarca is a potential for me, just because I think I can scrape into him, and I might as well just show this how I would potentially scrape into Petrarca. But if we go Hall and then also Zach Reed, and then I just don't have enough actually. Looking at that just there, I wouldn't have enough by about by a little bit. But if you look at this is what I'm sort of looking at here, 454k for players I can afford. I could get a Matt Kennedy who's done really, really well. I can also, I hope, switch this into the flex position and end up looking at like even just down to a Matt Flynn or something like that, because Max Hall, I don't think has much, reset this. I don't think Max Hall has too much cash generation to make now. 38 break even. He could actually hit that again. So you could potentially move out like a Moraes as well here. And then put Levi Ashcroft back into the midfield there. Potentially, that's how you do it. But yeah, it's something that I'll look at. But I'm probably going to be considering a Flynn or something like that, just because of the cash generation from Flynn could be really, really valuable. I think Cleary bounces back this week. I think you'll see some things with Sydney. They'll bounce back, I think. I don't know who they exactly have. They've got Gold Coast, I think. So, yeah, and he's still going to be making cash, you would expect. And that break even, I think he's going to average sort of 60 from here on out, is what I sort of said he would average in the long run. And if he does that, he's averaging 59 at the moment. If he does that, yeah, you see that goes from, 170k, and then by his sort of buy round in round 14, he's already at 280k or so. Even closer to that, around round 11, around 12, he's still generating cash, but he's around that 280k. So I think that Caden Cleary is a long-term play because Papley's out, and I don't really see them putting him sub. Even though he had a disappointing display, I don't see them putting him sub, as I think there's bigger moves to make, more alarming moves for Sydney to make. But yeah, I think Soligos, there's definitely so many paths you can go down, but I think you really need to look at the value defenders and forwards at the moment. Like, actually just looking in my head, do I want to get Stewart in now, even though he looked really poor, because I can grab him over any of the other guys? But then again, I could just grab Flynn, to be honest, and just go Flynn almost straight from Zach Reed. I could just do that straight away, and then that could be my only trade. Don't have to trade Hall, don't have to trade anyone else. Just do that and put him in my flex position, and that would be that. That actually could be a really good decision to make, and then just field a Hewitt in the midfield. I think that's actually what I'll do. So let me just show you that here. So if I go Reed, and then I just go put a Sheasel down back. And then I put where is he? Hewitt in the midfield, or even just actually put an Ashcroft back in the midfield, and then Cleary, you can go there. But it would be a battle between Cleary and Hall to get on field, and then it is a simple Flynn here, and then that's probably what I will do. Keep it very, very simple, and that's just cash generation from Zach Reed, probably all but done at this point. It's 14 break even. You can actually hold him. So it might actually be Hall that goes, to be honest with you, actually just looking at that there. So yeah, we'll see. But it'll be one of those guys I feel like Hall could also just go if we just do this as well. And then we go to points, and then we go to the likes of, I actually need to go to average, or just players I can afford. I think we'll make it work. And you'll see Flynn there. And then that's just the easy swap there is probably what we get. So anyway, I should probably catch up with these. Thoughts on Matt Kennedy? With the likes of Bontempelli returning, and I believe Adam Treloar said in an interview post-game last night that he was only a few weeks away. If we go to teams, and then when that's the fantasy, so I can just do it off here. Then we go to the injury list. If we go to this and we go to all the way down to the bottom, to the likes of Western Bulldogs, you'll see Bont was a test, Scott test, and Treloar 2 to 4 weeks. So that's going to be 1 to 3 weeks you would expect potentially next week. But we all know that injuries can change things, etc. So that'll be interesting if that actually is 1 to 4 weeks. 1 to 3 weeks next week. But it sounds like that is the case. And I want to say that Kennedy could also play that. We've seen it at Carlton, and I don't think it will happen, but we've seen him play that sort of third tall role. He could potentially do that at the Bulldogs for a couple of weeks, etc. Just as they sort of figure out what they're going to do with Darcy out. And that wouldn't be the greatest role if that's only when the likes of Treloar return. Before maybe even a Garcia or anyone else like that returns. So I'm just wondering if he's potentially going to be stuffed in his role in a couple of weeks just because of injuries, and we don't like to really jump on those guys, especially with Matt Kennedy at his price. I think he's mid 400Ks, if I remember correctly. Let's bring him up, 450K. So yeah, mid 400Ks. He's going to be a guy you almost want as a keeper. So yeah, I just don't think I would go there. Yeah, I think a lot of people had to trade Davidson this week to make the maneuver to Dacos. I know I had to do that. And yes, Davidson scored 87, but Dacos scored 172. That was a defining factor in the week. Like, yes, you could have got the 140s, etc. The other guys went, but he was the biggest scorer for the week alongside Hewitt. And Hewitt obviously went up big. But there was no way I could pretty much get to anyone reliable without the likes of a Davidson going in the trade, just because he had that much price on him, so on his head. So I needed to use him. I think a lot of people were in that same boat. And yeah, if you use him this week to get to Dacos, it doesn't matter too much in the long run, because he's had 2 games above 60, I think, this year. If we just go to the Davidson here, 303K, went up 10K, so even Dacos beat him out by 14K. He has a 37 break even, which sucks that you're going to have to trade him out if you do have to trade him out to get to Dacos. But Dacos is probably going to get away from you if you don't trade him in this week, and he's got a really good run. Yes, he's got some tags coming up, but I think everyone has tags coming up. And if you actually look at Dacos, other than I think one bad game to start the year, if you take out the 66, because it actually didn't count, he's gone 623 in 5 games that have actually counted towards SuperCoach. That is an average of almost 125 that have actually counted towards SuperCoach, and would put him, I believe, at the top, pretty much top of the list for players that have played all the games. Yeah, just behind Hewitt in terms of average, and his effective average would be about that 680, 690 or so anyway. So his effective average is anyway around about that 115 anyway, which puts him around 14th anyway. So yeah, Dacos must have this week. And how much cash you reckon Davidson will make for the remainder? Let's plug in 70, as I think he can do that. He's averaged 70 pretty much throughout here. Yes, he does have a big game in that system, but if he puts out a 70 each week, he makes another 45K or so, but doesn't really make much more than that in general. So yeah, I think Davidson is you can get away with trading him out unless he goes like 120, but he had a really favorable matchup against St. Kilda and went 80. So he's gone 39, 72, 129, 54, 61, 82. So he's had 3 games where he's gone above 75. Is it? Or is that? No, sorry. 3 games where he's gone above 62. Or sorry, above 61. 3 games above 61, and we're worried about trading him. 3 out of his 6 games, he's gone above 61. I'm not too worried about him, to be honest with you. That he's not on my side at the moment. Next question. Should I trade Matt Flynn in if I have 3 rucks? It means I'm going to have to bench him, and also only going to have 500K to spend on a primo, rather than 600, 650 if I went cheaper rookies. And this is the problem, I think, with the 3 ruck. To guess which 3 rucks would be it. And usually you'd know that was easy. That was Gorn and Grundy in the past. And then you would have said this year, probably Cherry. You would have said Cherry, Gorn, and TDK. And I think those are the 3 leading ruckmen, if I remember correctly. Nank and others might be up there, but I think those are the 3 roughly leading rucks. You got Gorn, Cherry, and De Koning still basically leading, only out of the guys that have played 6 games. So they're still the 3 leading rucks, but they're all down a little bit. Mostly, I would say. De Koning is going to come down in price in general, I think, after this week, as he has got a 117, but he does have Geelong, which he will smash. So those 3 rucks would have been the ones that you probably have or should have. Will be interesting also just a question on TDK if he solos next week or Pitnet comes in. But they did survive without Pitnet, so I don't think he needs to come in. But yeah, if you do have those 3 rucks, you need Matt Flynn. I think you can get away with not having Matt Flynn because you can bet on Matt Flynn having the Hawthorn matchup, which is still a tough-ish matchup, and maybe he just goes an 80. And if he just goes 80 for the next 2 weeks, or 79 for the next 3 weeks or whatever, you're getting 110, 120K. Like, I'm hoping he goes 100 for the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and 100 for the next 4 weeks gets him to 440K. But if he doesn't and he goes 80, then after 2-3 weeks, that kind of dies down. It's basically what Humphrey was. And so, yeah. Do you want to take a risk on that is the big question. Flynn probably has a safer role, obviously, than Humphrey. But, yeah, I would just... If you have 3 rucks, I wouldn't do it just because there's going to be a lot of cash and just sitting... cash just sitting on the bench. Whereas that, you're potentially leaving 150K on the bench there. 150K on the bench... That's 15 points per round, which I know that sounds like nothing, but if that's 4 or 5 rounds that you leave him on the bench, that's potentially somewhere close to 75, 90, 100 points that you potentially leave there at least with Flynn on the bench. And what about if he starts out scoring that would be good if he started out scoring your rucks, but there's also the chance that Matt Flynn also at his price point is priced at 55, 52, something like that. So he's going to outdo that price point anyway. So not only are you leaving 150K out there just on the bench that could be upgraded on field, you're actually just leaving his points just on there as well, which is almost going to be more infuriating. So yeah, I probably wouldn't go an extra ruck if you had to there. Hold, read, or trade. I'm actually surprised he has a 14 break even read, so I think you can hold for another week, Zach Reed. He has Collingwood this week. If he goes 60, he goes up another 20K. And at that point, then you can combine him and potentially Jackson Pryor. A lot of us will have sort of maybe 40, 50, 60K alongside him to upgrade elsewhere. So, yeah, maybe even more than that. So it's an easy trade in the long run, I feel like. But, yeah, I wouldn't be... trading him this week, but we'll see with the rookies as well coming through, as I don't think we have many good rookies on the bubble here. If I just go quickly and look at it, if we just go through, you got Flynn, you got even the likes of we talk a lot about Matt Carroll. If you actually just quickly get rid of the rucks, Carroll's at a 65 minus 65, so you probably should be going for the Carroll. Is there anyone? James Dunstall, if he plays again, could be interesting next week. Harry Boyd still. Oscar McDonald, no. These guys aren't going to come through and play, I don't think. So, yeah, I don't think there's going to be anyone next week that you're really looking at and going, I think they're going to be a really good player to grab. So it might be the time to grab those extra rookies here in Carroll and Flynn because... yeah, there's not many rookies coming through next week. And I think you do still have to hold Reed because he's still got another week left in him, even though that's almost counterintuitive saying that because you're not going to be able to trade him next week because there's no one to trade to. It'll be interesting when the team lists come out, but I'm definitely holding Reed going long with him because if we put the 60 in there, if we put, say, a 65 in there, which is basically what he's averaging, you'll see he's still got potential for a little bit more cash generation, I feel like. And, yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily right, but I think he'll also have some 70 games in him as well. And so, yeah, I think Zach Reed's a guy that will, in the long run, be able to still make another potential, let's say 65 here. Yeah, look at that. 65, and he's still got another potential 60K in him before the buy also. So, yeah, I would be holding there with him. Then you got Surf Coast here. I reckon you have to get Flynn in. I agree. Reckon Pitnet comes back this week. This is an interesting one. Now, one thing I will say is I want to bring up the VFL here because I was watching this, and I did put this in the boys' group chat as well. And this is one of the reasons why I don't think Pitnet comes back in. Look at this. He got outclassed by Bryn Teakle and Taylor Goad. I don't think you bring back him when, he got smashed and they lost to North Melbourne VFL. So he did have 17 touches, but he only had 2 kicks. He also had no tackles and had 6 clearances. They obviously won't do kick-ins or anything, hit outs to advantage or anything like that. Let's look at intercept possessions or anything. What did he end up scoring for fantasy? So I can just double check. He ended up scoring a 59. That's going to be hard to get to. Let's look at contested possessions. Maybe that'll help. Yeah. So he had 3 intercepts, 3 score involvements, 2 free kicks, 2 inside 50s. Nothing is really standing out on the page to say, yep, bring me back in, as well as having 76%. So nothing's really screaming out to me that he's going to come back in. Trelaw said last night to BT that he was still a couple of weeks away. Yeah, that makes sense. Still 2-3 weeks away seems about the consensus with Trelaw. Bring in Butters now or wait for price drop. You have to wait for price drop. There will be a time of the year where he goes below 650k. I'm just saying that there's going to be a day where he stuffs it against a side. Say he averages 130. Let's look at this. Even 130, he gets down to 660k. Let's just say that goes to 120. Not 129, 120k. Look at this. Even 120, him averaging, and he bottoms out around 610k. So I think that's the likes of Butters. You just wait and just hope he has a down game. Then you wait for him to, even at that point, if he has a down game, let's just show you for the sake of it. Say for some reason against Western Bulldogs, he goes 75. Boom. Then he goes 671, 655, 625, 602. So he bottoms out around 602 in round 10. If he goes 120, 75, let's just put a 110 in here for Adelaide. Then that gets him to 594. So yeah, I think that he will go below 600 or 650k, sorry. And you just wait. No one's going to have him, which is a good thing. I don't think. Let's just check Butters here as well to just check how many teams do have him. 1.6% of teams have him, and I don't think many in the top 5% have him at all. Just because of the price point, it's really hard to get to him. Yeah, only 0.8 of teams. So you're not getting punished at all. And if Butters does drop a stinker at that price point, you're the one that gets punished. So that's why I wouldn't be going for Butters there. Flynn once Flynn makes all the money, he can be the one that you upgrade him to Gorn or whoever primo ruck you need. Yep, or just a primo mid. The rucks this year look horrific. They look to be all just taking each other down, which is not a good thing. If we look at it comparative to last year, let's get rid of Butters. Let's do the rucks. And give us not the rank, but the round 7 key stats, maybe. Nope, the season stats. Round 6 summary is the best way to do it. If we go to the rucks and we go 117, 117, 114, 111, 111. Gordon and Cherry are the exact same. That's kind of crazy. But if we go to past seasons and we go to the filter and then we go to rucks and then we go to average, 124, 119, 112, 110, 108. So you had an extra 7 points here, an extra 5 points here, and then it was even. So you had an extra 12 points per game from the top 2 rucks. That's just not there anymore. And if you actually look at where they sat in terms of the overall structure, Gorm was number 2. And then you also had Cherry at number 4 in terms of price sort of scoring. Whereas now if you look at them and you look at their average, and we just do this for not played every game or whatever. Can I do this? My watch list, played every game. I will just disregard Peter Wright and Bontempelli. So that's 2 guys to disregard. Butters, you can start to regard anyway, his scoring. But if we look for the best ruckman, they're at 10th. And then Luke Jackson not going to matter in the long run because he's got the likes of Darcy back when he comes back. Matt Flynn won't average 114. We know that. And then you've got Max Gordon and Tristan Cherry down at 23 and 24. I don't think you need the ruck in the flex position. I don't think is the plan this year. I think it is go Butters, get Brayshaw when he drops down, get Rao, get McCluggage, and have like a Dawson or a Noah Anderson or someone like that in the flex position, and get that ninth midfielder, because they're the ones that are scoring well. They're the ones that are, when you do finish out your side, they'll have those spike 150 games. I don't know if there's a way to see the highs or anything. If we go to set consistency, break even projected, score ranking, does this give us anything? It's gone 150 at a high. I don't know exactly what this is showing, but should be hopefully showing us something last here. So you got even Nick Dacos a 172 as a high. You've got George Hewitt 171. You had Butters a 164. So you got Bont a 159. Taranto a 146. Those are just already, what's that, 4 midfielders that have gone 140 plus. I think the midfielder this year is going to be huge and needing that extra midfielder in the flex position. If TDK doesn't solo ruck, I'll trade him out for Flynn and bring in Nakos. Yeah, that probably sounds good. With Hewitt in already, you've got Hewitt. That's huge. Hewitt's been the one that got away from us this year for most of us, I would say. Jack Rankin here. Thoughts on outs this week? Moreira's trainer and had 19k in Flynn, Carroll with 110k in the bank. Out Moreira's trainer and 19k you had already for Flynn and Carroll. Yep, that's something similar I'm going to do. Let's just, because I'm going to take advantage of Carroll and do something like this, I would say. And then I can get rid of, even potentially use another trade or something as well. And then just, what can I do to get, put that there, and then put maybe even a stone here, there. And then I've got, where did I already traded out Hall, but then I can grab a likes of a Carroll. Yes, I'll be down to 23 trades, but I'll have 128k in cash generation. I'll get rid of the duds in Moraes, who's got like a 60 break even or something, 46 break even. That's, you could probably honestly almost hold that. You've got Hall at -9. Gross is still fine. Camporelli, could almost trade Camporelli to Carroll at that point. But yeah, I think something like that, leaving 130k in the bank for next week could be absolutely huge. And let's just put the day cost captaincy. Wow, not even projected as many as the likes of Zach Merritt. Anyway, yeah, but that's something I'm definitely considering. Rao's break even, if I just go and put that on screen for you here. So if we go and put Rao's break even, you can see it is 74. So yeah, he is 558k. So he's actually in the window, I'd say. Definitely a guy in the window. 558k. And yeah, a guy that I could even look at potentially getting Oliver to next week. Something like that could be huge. Getting Oliver to Noah Anderson after the Sydney game is definitely an intriguing one, I would say. And upgrading there. As Roberts is fine. He's got a 79 break even. He'll start to gain more cash. Bice, 33 break even now. So he's going to start to slow down. But yeah, there we go. Would you prioritize bringing in Rosie or Flynn? I would probably prioritize bringing in Flynn. Cash generation's there. He's pretty much got 60k banked this week if he doesn't get injured, and then 40k the week after, even if he's scoring 80s. And if he gets another spike game of 130 or so, I know he has Hawthorn who will probably blow them off the park, but if he goes 130 again, he's going to get himself probably close enough to that sort of, I would say, the 400k, 440k in 3-4 weeks' time. And then that's huge. That's almost what Oliver is at the moment. And then you're going to have a Clay Hall that could almost just go down to a dead rookie at that point. And then you upgrade him to a, potentially even just a forward. You potentially just upgrade him to a forward, like a Rankin or something like that. And then in 3-4 weeks' time, you've turned effectively almost a rookie and two sort of rookie guys into like a Moraes and then another trade. Sorry, Moraes plus 2 trades or whatever into almost a primo. So that's how good this Flynn could be. And that's why I think you should probably bring him in if you've got 2 rucks. Stewart a trade option. I'm probably going to hold for another week just because, I don't think Stewart's, I think he's got a 75 break even or something like that. I don't care about that. I don't think he's going to be a guy that is, of course it does that. So let's just check this. Stewart here. 441k, 679 break even. I don't think he's going to get too far away against Carlton. What's he done in the past against Carlton? 107, 127, 84. So that's an average of 211, 318, an average of 106 against them. 106 would probably put him about 13, 14k up. So that would put him 450k. So I don't think he gets away from us. So I think you can wait on him. And then you've got which forward options, Max, which forward options do you like this week? Rankin, Nick Martin, or Petrarca? Nick Martin's someone that I need to do a little bit more work on research-wise with this week. Once I get through the work week. So Setterfield, Colwell, no one else here. And you don't see Nick Martin in here. Just going to double check with the likes of a hotkey, and it doesn't look like he's in there. So definitely a guy that could get away from us if we don't act on it quickly. So let's just look at Nick Martin here. So if we go to Nick Martin and then we go here, you'll see that he is averaging on the year 101, which is slightly down, but a 105 here. It looks to me like he was just all over the park. But if we look at last week, slightly less. Where's the other heat map? This is interesting. I'd have to probably talk a little bit more to Essendon supporters about this, but because I don't remember too much of this game from memory now as what it was at the Friday night, which is a relatively long time ago. But it looks like he was given free roam, which is really good to see, and grabbed a lot of touches of the ball, and was just more efficient by foot in the last couple of weeks, as well as being more damaging. Obviously, they won against Melbourne, but he wasn't as damaging. Kicked a goal as well in all the last 4 weeks. Trying to see what the big difference between these two games are, because don't really see much of a difference other than the 2 free kicks. So that's interesting. Maybe it's something score involvement wise that caused a difference. And then we have Gregorius here with a Bailey-Dale to Bice, Chera to Butters. I don't think you can trade for Bice now. So unless you got those two mixed up and you went Bice to Bailey-Dale, because Bailey-Dale's, I think, going to be fine in the long... What even is Bailey-Dale? Is Bailey-Dale down with the likes of Tom Stewart, or is he more around that 480? 500k for Bailey-Dale, 136 break even. He's obviously going to go down again, I think. So, that'll be interesting there. But with him, what do I think? What's he going for this year? He is averaging 103 for this year, and he's only really had 2 bad weeks. And he scored a 93. So he's had an 81 and a 68 this year, which are bad. But aside from that, it's been pretty good. I think he'll be fine. And I don't think you should be trading to Bice, and I don't think you go all the way down to a rookie, to be honest with you. So I think you almost just stick it fat with Bailey-Dale. If he returns a big one against GWS, his break even just completely resets, and then he starts to be a really good pick. So I just would stick it with Bailey-Dale, to be honest, at the moment. Then we have the last couple here before we'll wrap up this quick stream here, I think, or we'll go through my team and then we'll wrap it up. But anyway, Josh, thoughts on passing Dacos and grabbing Rao, which leaves me with 50k. Yep. With a lack of cash, and I think this could be easily the move. It honestly depends what you see them averaging, because if you see Rao averaging like 5 less than Dacos, it would be a better move. But if you see Rao averaging like 10, 15 less than Dacos, you need to get the Dacos pick in. Because he has one of the juiciest runs coming up in the fixture, I believe. If we just go to, also I can double check this anyway through this, and then season-long strength of schedule, and then we can go to inside mids. If we go and we just say till round 14 or whatever, or even just round 17, and we go here, you'll see Essendon, North, Hawks, where is the likes of Collingwood's a plus 0.87 this in the next little bit. And that's from round 6, which they just played. So let's go to round 7. And Collingwood goes to a 0.77. And then you've got the likes of, whereas Gold Coast at a minus 0.83, which isn't much. Gold Coast also have Sydney this week, which could be a little bit annoying. So what's Rail done against Sydney? Because that could be interesting to just look at that. Of course, it doesn't get rid of. But if we look at Rail against Sydney in the past, he's done... Where is it? Season stats here. He's done 126, 119, 119. So he's actually played really well against Sydney. So, yeah, that could be a play. I just don't know in the long run if he's able to put up big scores enough that he's sort of done this before where he fades out after round 6 as well. So I just wait on him because, yeah, you can see 2 of the games against Sydney have been at the start of the year where he really does perform better and then he falls off, I think, in the latter half. And then to end the stream here as well, closely, what would be a good pod to get in at this stage? Good pod. Why us? I usually am just a guy to just confirm the obvious picks. That's more of a SuperCoach God area, I feel like. But if you were to bring in a pod, if we go, because pods are sort of around that sub 10% ownership, I would say. No, I will go 9% there. If you go 3-round average, you can get rid of Peter Wright, doesn't matter. Brody Grundy's actually been really good, but he comes up against a really good matchup. Tom Green, 2.6% ownership. He could be really good. Let's actually just do this because if I go back here, Essendon have the best run for midfielders. Take that into effect. And then GWS. So I think I just found my answer right there. I think Tom Green could be a really good pod. If we go to top 10% as well, because this will change it probably a little bit. And we go filters, and can I change this now back down to sort of the 9-10% ownership? There we go. And then I was to go with the sort by who's hot maybe or whatever. No, that doesn't seem to work. Highest price potentially or something like that. Ownership anyway. If I was to go to that and then change to GWS, you would see Tom Green, 3.2% ownership. I think he could be the guy that is the pod that you guys really could be bringing in that should do well for the rest of the year. If you take out the sort of 6 or whatever that he had last year, he averages for the year like around that 112 marker. He's going 112 at the moment. I think he does that for the rest of the year or so. He's always a very, very consistent performer. And he could even step it up another gear with the likes of Canelio and other guys really starting to slow down and him being that primary. I mean, he's been the primary midfielder for a couple of years now, but really taking on that primary midfielder role could be interesting. But having said all that, I'll just jump back to this screen here. Get rid of that one there. So that is the live stream there for you guys. I just thought I'd do a quick hour or so live stream going through answering some questions as well as going through my team. I didn't really go through my team too much, but we went through it on the initial one. And I'll have a quick video for you guys on that'll be tomorrow night, I reckon. I'll be able to get a video out to you guys with my 2 team reviews, and then also a review of the Monday game that I'll do in more depth after I sort of go through it a little bit more. But anyway, if you guys did enjoy that live stream, remember to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I will see you guys back for tomorrow. Bye, guys.